Here she comes. Here she comes. Jess is on her way. Jess is on her way.
Hello,
Jess
hello,
is
hello.
on her way. Hi, honey.
How are you?
I'm good. I don't see her
Where's my
face.
video?
Do you not
Where's my
want me to see?
video? There's my video. Hello.
First time meeting. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, honey.
Oh, hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm off to play in tutus this afternoon or after we finish. So got like this
Ooh,
fun trajectory.
nice.
Yeah.
I got so excited when I saw all your tutus. That was amazing. I thought about it today. I was like, I should dig out my tutu and wear it just for the vibes.
I thought about it, but I was like, they're down there. If
You
I were
know
to wear
what?
the
We
tutus,
we can get up and dance at
right?
any point, at any time,
You're in
right?
my head. I was like, we need a dance party, like sound break or something at some point in this conversation. So we'll see
Oh
if
yeah,
that lands.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey, if you get the urge, you start dancing, I'll start dancing, we'll have a dance party. Always here for it.
that's great. That's great. Well, I'd love to start this way because it
Okay.
feels, I never want to be that like robotic, I'm very quad left anyway. And so I
Mhm.
don't, you know, anyway, that's my balance of me. It's like, let's
Yeah.
be fun. Let's do all the things in a
Yeah.
non-performative way, hopefully. So, yeah.
I feel amazing. It's funny because I'm balanced. On personality, I'm left. Design, I'm right. So I'm like, I can go both, right?
Oh, well, let's go there, darling. Let's go there.
I'm loving watching you do it because I'm like, oh my gosh, all that. Cheer you on. I will cheer you on as you do all of it.
Okay, so as you're saying what you're saying, back
Mhm.
to before, I was saying quad left, I need or I want to like kind of break it up,
Yeah.
break up my like robotic, strategic, blah, blah, blah. And you were saying, do you want to say it again?
Yeah. So personality, on my personality side, I'm
Uh-huh.
more structured, right?
Yep.
I'm left. On my design side, I'm right.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting combination for me because I feel like sometimes I'm very structured. And then sometimes I'm like, I just step back and it's complete like flow and passive.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah,
have you connected with James Alexander?
I have not.
Okay. So he's who or how I did my analyst training.
Oh, nice.
And what I appreciated in I don't remember which conversation, I just know it was his voice that was saying this, is he was talking about, and it might have been on Signpost, again, I just know it was him who said it, but he said, if I'm tracking what he said correctly, that this location here, so where the nodes are pointing, so that variable, so that I believe is environment. No, that's not
Yeah,
environment.
pointing like you can see me. Yeah, so the on the left side, bottom one is environment.
Uh-huh.
So I'm caves, but I'm a strange caves. I'm a blending caves.
Right.
So like I like to have security, but I like to like have people in and out, but I like to have my comfort, right?
Well, and the piece that I'm trying to land is that he was saying for him, he's got a left in that spot, and I
Mhm.
have a left in that spot. So he said when he presents, he's pacing. And in these interviews, it's like, I want to keep moving. I'm like, how do I bring people on a hike with me? Because that's
Yeah.
when the shit gets real. Like, that's where the magic happens for me. I'm like,
Yes.
download, like stuff happens, and I'm trying to figure out how to capture that. But
Yeah.
so in your scenario, I hear what you're saying about caves and the blending, and how I've understand that is like multiple doors. Where a
Yes.
selective cave is like one door, I see who comes in and out, back the fuck off if you try and come in. Which as
Yes.
mountains persons, I sometimes go there. So
Orange
that's my
Mountain.
my
Love
flip.
it.
But
Yeah.
what he would say then, if again I'm tracking what I was learning through him, is that for you, when you're in your expression or supporting others, you want to be seated. Like
Okay.
your movement might want to be less active than,
Mhm.
say, mine would be. So, anyway, I was just
Oh,
curious if that's something you resonate with, you track.
you know, I feel like sometimes it's really hard to put it down to one thing
Mm,
because I think with like the sacral energy, I'm very energetic. Like I
yeah.
am incredibly energetic when I talk. It's like hands and movement and like all
Uh-huh.
over the place. I do really well when I'm talking to people to like move. Like if I'm
Ah.
standing in front of people, like moving and talking to them, but interacting with them. But I do enjoy the having behind me closed. So like
Mm,
I can see everybody in front of me
mm,
and then behind me having that wall, having the thing behind me, and then also, with the doors.
right.
Um, so having that piece of safety, absolutely. But again, with other parts, I feel like there is so much movement. As I said,
Mm.
like if you want to get up and dance, like let's get up and dance, right? I am here for dancing. I'm here for the movement.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also to name, you've got one of the athletic channels.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it could be that I'm misremembering which side of the chart he was referencing, because this would be your outer authority. So then that would have you in the similar place that maybe what I was describing. And I get what you're saying, that it's not one nugget
Yeah.
of a chart that
Yeah.
brings us who we are.
All the pieces,
All the
right?
things. Yeah.
So on my personality node side, so yeah, having that on the structured side, for that one, it's kind of interesting. Um, because for me, it's power,
Mm,
which is very interesting. The first time I was connecting in with that, the word itself, power, doesn't resonate with me
mm,
like at all. But then diving deeper into it, that it's not necessarily, it's like who has and who doesn't have. And I deeply, deeply, deeply resonate with that. Like seeing, who are the people that need something. Because
mm.
also, my sun sign's 19, like feeling the needs of people and helping people. So I'm actually a dream design coach, like
Mm.
stepping into your dream,
Yeah.
seeing what it is that you're missing in your life
Mm.
and then getting that to, I guess, the spot that would be power.
Uh-huh.
The word itself doesn't resonate, but getting to that place where you're living that fulfillment, that life, that just like, oh, this gets to be my life. This gets to be my day, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That was, yeah, again, so interesting.
Well, and also 55, right? In your
Yes,
North Node, like to
my north.
me, as
Yeah.
the more I learn about it, it's that cheerleader.
Yes.
Which in essence, I had this vision yesterday when I was thinking about us gathering. I was like, she's a mom, she's a this, like what else is she? And I was like trying to come up with my like cheerleading stance around it.
And yep, and the hands go too. I get very excited with my hands. You know what? If you had to put like a term to it, I feel like I am. I am here
Mm,
to like help cheer people on, to help like love people and bring
yeah.
love to them, especially, the 10-20 is very
Mm,
prominent for me, loving myself in such a deep way
hmm.
and bringing that for other people. And like you said, the 55 as well as my North Node, like where I'm going, which
Mm,
is also super interesting because as we're moving and we're shifting paradigms to 2027, the
yep.
55 is part of the incarnation process of the sleeping phoenix.
Hmm.
I was like, this is interesting. So getting to that place where it's like, it's abundance. It is abundance, like within you already. Like you
Yeah.
have everything in there, that you get to experience
Hmm.
the infinite feelings. And coming from a place where I think right now, a lot of us live in the existence of like, there's right and wrong,
Mm,
like good emotions, bad emotions. And instead, it's like, there's just that emotional wave, the
hmm.
emotions move in that wave and it's okay.
Hmm.
There's nothing right or wrong. And you get to feel those.
Right.
You get to feel the high highs and you get to feel the low lows. And it's part of that experience, that abundance in all of it, in the experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
love
and
it.
as you're speaking to these elements, I'm also tracking your sixth line
Yeah.
in your personality, or I'm sorry, in your profile. So the unconscious side of your profile.
Yeah.
And, these nodes are also sixth line too. So the evolution or, looking at the next gait in the wheel from 55 and from 59. I don't have it in my head, but where I was headed is I always find it interesting being a defined solar plexus. Like
Mhm.
growing up, my emotions were like, put those in a box, like tamp it down. I
Yeah.
actually just did something on my hike. I recorded something. Anyway, we'll see if I put anything out there. But like I had a lot of tantrums as a kid
Yeah.
because I was like, there's something in me and I need to talk about it. And
Yeah.
the people around me were like, no, can you just smile and be, the
No,
whatever
yeah.
other version? And when I hear you speak and sense how you're moving with the information, it feels to me like you've navigated towards this place of comfortability around emotionality. And so, what was pinging in my mind that may not be your experience, but what we explore in human design with the sixth line is the three phases. And
Yeah.
typically, the first phase is a little bit of a DRAMA story, a little bit of a drama upheaval. And maybe
You know,
that wasn't your experience, but I'm curious if where I'm trying to land and go wherever you want to is how you track for yourself this comfortability with emotionality, given that you have an undefined solar.
absolutely. So I'm in my on the roof, right now, this stepping back. And I'd love to come back to the experience of the three line, right? The
Mhm.
experimenter. And I think there's a large feeling behind that it is, oh my gosh, chaos. It is drama. I think that there's a really beautiful, empowered way in which you can work with the three line in a way that supports them and the family. Um, so that's a big part of like who I am, which is kind of cool. We can go back to like the origin story of like who I am. So for the line six with the emotions, you know, that was one of my biggest ones,
Mm,
deconditioning,
mm,
because I would sponge up
ah,
everybody's emotions. And I played like peacekeeper
mm,
because I didn't want anybody to feel discomfort.
mm,
And it took a lot of me just building up that resiliency to feeling people's emotions and feeling their discomfort and being okay with it, which then also coincided with me going, oh, I get to feel uncomfortable too in doing something.
mm,
And that's the part of expansion, right?
mm,
Like that is the whole thing. When you're here, you're comfortable.
mhm.
And to step out from this place where we grow into expansion, like by definition, as we're moving and expanding and growing, it's uncomfortable. It's
Mhm.
new. It's scary, right?
Yeah.
And so being comfortable going, I feel the fear, but I'm like walking with it.
Mhm.
So feeling that. And then also just taking away any kind of feeling where there's a good emotion and a bad emotion.
Yeah.
And with my line six, I feel like this is just such a big part of who I am, especially having kids.
Mm,
And, going, you can feel how you feel and trusting, feeling that safety in your body. Because the biggest thing I've seen
mm,
working with a lot of people on their solar plexus is that you don't feel your emotions. And then you start to disembody and you start to just stuff in and you start to disconnect. And that's where your connection is. And that's where your intuition is. This is where your knowledge is in your body, right?
yeah.
And so you need to feel safe. But to get there, you need to feel those feelings,
Yep.
but knowing that it is safe to feel them.
Yep.
And it's, I can't remember what book I read. It was so brilliant the way he worded it, but he was saying, what we do with emotions is we experience it and we feel it and we go, oh, I don't want it. And we
Yeah.
freeze it. And it's like, but you've already experienced it. It's
Mhm.
already there. So just process and move through it so that it can keep moving, but then we freeze it. And then we're
And become
actually,
constipated.
yeah, constipated. Exactly. So instead of, we're like, oh, I want this thing out. And so
Mm,
the logical thing to do would be to process it, right?
mhm.
And to keep moving it, we freeze it
Yeah.
and we end up holding on to it. But I think so many of us weren't taught how to feel, or even that it was okay to feel. We're
Right.
kind of put into that box of like, this is the way to feel. This is the way to act. This is what you need to conform to.
Mm,
And we shut down those parts of ourselves. So really coming back to a place where it's safe to feel.
hmm
And then what am I feeling? And so it's not, again, and it's a wave. Emotions move that wave. And that's how it is. And it's perfect like that. There's no right or wrong to it.
hmm
It's just a beautiful expression of energy, but it's what do we do with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel angry. Okay, feel angry.
hmm
Great, great. Where do you feel it? This is amazing. You have anger. Okay, where do you feel it?
mm
What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is it like? If you could take it out, what is the experience of this? And then what do you want to do with this?
hmm
Like, no, we're not going to go and like punch somebody in the face, right?
hmm
What feels good for you to process it?
Yeah. Well, and I think what I'm also wanting to include here is, the previous experiences may have communicated to someone that it wasn't safe to feel.
Mhm.
And so that like putting something on a shelf, those feelings, get stored in the body or wherever they're stored. And so I love where you're bringing, maybe a young one or whomever to
Mhm.
embrace and have an experience with their emotion that they're feeling right now. And I think
Yeah,
what's also tends to be a component is, well, what else from our history or from our longevity is tagging along or is a part of the current moment? And so
yeah,
I find that it can be a little bit of both
yeah.
of what are you feeling? And like, in other words, I look at it as like reality checking. So if I'm really angry at the fact that I spilt milk,
Yeah,
and I'm like having like a 12th, on the scale above a 10 reaction to
yeah,
it, I'm like, there's something more here. So
yeah.
that kind of other or that additional layer I find can be really helpful,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of suss out and see the matrix or the complexity of what's the present moment.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Like where is your state right now?
hmm
Um, and that's something, have you heard of positive intelligence?
I haven't.
Okay. So it's very interesting. It's Shirzad Chamine. And
Okay.
so what he does is root factor analysis. And so he's taken all of the things in our life that sabotage us, and
Mm.
he's gotten it down to the root
hmm
causes of what those are.
Mm.
And it's learning to work with those and seeing it's the neural pathways in your
Yep.
mind.
Yep.
And it's going, what is happening? So, potentially, in this example you gave, like what is happening? What is the natural neural pathway right now that this is happening and it's triggering something in me and I'm reacting a certain way and
hmm
becoming aware? So, like some of them, are like people pleaser, avoider, hyper rational, hyper vigilant. So let's say it was like hyper vigilant, but again, this is not to say like you are hyper vigilant. It's
hmm
just your current neural pathway. Like what's actually going on at the root level there.
Yeah.
So looking and exploring that. So on one
Wonderful.
side, like, yeah, but there's also this other time where we just have emotions and feelings and sometimes they don't even come from like anywhere, just to move, right?
Yep.
Just to have it. But sometimes there's more to it to explore. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also really appreciated, and it's taken me a while to give permission to this idea that
Yeah.
emotions are chemical, kind of what you're saying about like moving it through. I
Yeah.
think listen to my words, I think there was a place in my life where I was like, they're up here in the mind. So sever the mind from the body. And
Mhm.
yet something about connecting in with the reality that emotions are chemically moving through my body has
Mhm.
helped with the hiking, has helped with the dancing and shaking or what have you. Not to like, I mean, I guess it does potentially accelerate the movement of the intense emotion or the intense whatever.
Mhm.
And it also has landed as a permission space of, oh, this is a lot in my body right now, and it's showing up or it's expressing this way. And it's it's kind of like a detox from that emotion, and not in a bad way, because I think anyway, those are all the
No,
things that,
I love it.
yeah.
Absolutely. And that's such an important piece to it as well, is to move that emotion,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that you get to. And, they've done so many like different studies with like little kids
Mm.
get scared and they shake. An animal,
Mm.
something they
Yeah.
get like chased,
Yep.
and then after they shake it off, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
then, us as humans, we're like, oh yeah, no, that's not acceptable. I can't do that.
Yeah.
No, do it. Shake. You want to shake? Like shake, move, like do like
Yep.
whatever feels good in your body. And that's the thing is like your body knows, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
honoring that, but getting to a place where you can come back to your emotions and feel safe feeling them and feel
Yes.
going through them
Yes.
when you've been told it's been wrong to feel certain emotions. And so that can get tricky. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Who knew we were going to go on an emotional processing tangent? Love it. So
I'm
two
connecting with yours.
well, two elements that I'm always curious when I have a chart up is to ask how you and human design found each other, if that's a place of conversation you're interested to speak to.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, So how do I want to answer this? How did we find each other? The first time I was introduced to human design, somebody had it on their back wall as a picture, and I was just like, why would you put that on your wall? Like, it's like the weirdest looking, like, that's not like, like, what is this thing? Like, what is happening? And so it kept like popping up in my life. And
Hmm.
I was like, no. And then it would pop up in my life. And I was like, what is this thing? No, no, no. And it wasn't until I actually started on my quest of asking and searching for the answer of, so in my life, I I mean, I have the love for life. Like you can see right there, like gate 25, right? I love and I love unconditionally. And
Hmm.
people my whole life have told me, I wish I could see the world the way you see the world.
Hmm.
I wish I could experience things just the way I see things, I think is very unique to partly the 25, partly the 10, 20, like just my existence, right? And I kind of started this quest of going, how can I start to help other people to just love their lives?
Hmm.
How can I help them to find the joy? And when I started down that track, I started down the very, I guess, self track of like, this is how I do it, which doesn't work. It
Hmm.
doesn't work for so many people. What works for me doesn't work for other people.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
started the quest of like, how do I help other people to do this for themselves?
Hmm.
Connect into this for themselves. And so as I was starting to explore, human design came up. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I started to read about it. And I read about like, oh, okay, I'm a generator. I was like, check, amazing. Four line. I love people. Like I love people in like a very like when I meet you, I'm gonna hug you and I just I'm like, okay, great. I saw my six and I was like, I'm not a role model. At first rejected that one. And so just started diving deeper into it and just fell in love with it as, and you use this verbiage, a permission to be you.
Hmm.
Human design is the tangible thing you can show somebody and go, you are perfect.
Hmm.
You experience it this way? Amazing. Is it
Hmm.
different? Great.
Hmm.
You are here to be you, and you cannot live your life while you're trying to do everything somebody else's way
Hmm.
and experience it that way. And so that permission
Hmm.
to love your life, to live your life in a way that feels good for you.
Hmm.
In so many places where we have been told, especially rest is a big one that comes up in so many places, like you get to rest, you get to have joy, and
Hmm.
where that shows up differently for people. Um, so I work with positive intelligence. For me, it's boxes. It's the box on your head.
Mm.
That's stopping your mental pathway, like where you're just like, I can't do this thing. I know I want to do this thing and I cannot
Ah.
change my habit. So positive intelligence is the thoughts.
Hmm.
Human design is the box around your essence, around your energy. So that's the energy. And then it's coming into who you are and
Gotcha.
being all parts of you and loving you. And this is where the sparkle comes in. So the way I get so excited. And for me as well, to have that permission that I can explain it this way because
Mm-hmm.
this is what feels amazing for me.
Hmm.
And the way I explain human design to people is it's like a shower of energy that you
Mm.
walk through, and this shower is glitter, and it's all the different variations and colors and shimmers and like iridescences you could ever imagine, right? And
Hmm.
it's the unique combination that you walk through and you pick up.
Wow.
And your design this is your design, right? And it colors, and then, talk about how it colors in and how it works. But then that permission that you are missing nothing.
Hmm.
This is your unique shine. This is your stained glass window. You are the light behind it. And you
Mm.
get to shine your light through all parts of you because your stained glass window, who you are, is perfect. It's
Love
already
it.
perfect. It
Love it.
is perfection. And you have a unique shine to bring and sparkle to bring into the world. And that's what you're here for, exactly the way you're designed. It's like, here we go, permission to be you. You're amazing, like, and then let's start the journey of it. And I just, I love it. It was the most perfect answer because
Mm.
it wasn't just sit and feel into the perfection of you. There is that feeling to it as well, but it's also like, here's the actual like living proof of it.
Mm. Hmm.
It's just, oh, yeah. So, and then as a parent as well, I mean, obviously with
Ah,
my kids, it
yeah.
has been invaluable.
Yeah.
My eldest is a 3-6, so for all means and purposes, she's a 3-3 right now.
Right.
And the other day she was opening her fan because she wanted to see how it works. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, okay. And normal parent response, my brain went, what are you doing? And I said,
Right.
okay, she's experimenting. She's experimenting. Hold on, take a step back. And I said, I love that you're exploring, but if you want to do this, can we do this in a safe way?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So instead of that normal, I think my response before human design would have been like, why would you do that? That's unsafe. Like,
Right.
going down that route, but allowing her to be
Hmm.
herself.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I absolutely love that. And to circle back real quick,
Sure.
for my experience as a 3,
Mm.
um, a lot of people talk about the 3 line, and it is experimenting. It is trying a whole bunch of different things and seeing what feels good and what works. My experience as a 3 was very beautiful.
Mm.
And I have my mom and dad are special people. They're just
Ah.
very amazingly wonderful, supportive people that just are so full of love that you just couldn't even begin to express. Like when there's hurricanes down here, we're in Florida, they
Mm.
make food for the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
They take care of everybody. They love everybody. And this was the environment I was brought up in.
Hmm.
And so as a 3, I had that safety
Hmm.
to experiment, but with the guidance as well. So I don't feel like mine was nearly as like haphazard as
Hmm.
some people, like experimenting with like lots of different relationships and lots of different things.
Yep.
Um, I will say though, like for the one experience, so in high school, so I grew up in South Africa and
Aha.
I was born in South Africa. And I lived there for 12 years, and then we moved to DC area.
Aha.
And in high school at one of the college games, so we all had a drink before we went to the football game. And so I got suspended for a week.
Oh.
And in this experience, right, you would think my parents would be beyond
Oh.
furious, right? I
Right.
was in the bathtub. I was like, this is my life. It's done. Like I got suspended. Like I'm never gonna go to college. Like all these things. My mom comes knocking, she checks in, she's like, hey. Like, you doing okay? I was like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, okay, you wanna, your bath's probably getting cold. You wanna come out? And I had the most beautiful conversation of my life.
Mm,
When I came out, my dad told me, he said, Jess, you love psychology. You want to minor in psychology. What a gift this can be for you to go and learn from them,
mm,
for you to go and experience this and learn. And what can you take away from it?
mm-hmm,
So, the absolute unconditional love and support
mm,
there behind all of it.
mm,
Because a lot of people are like, how are you the way you are? I'm like, well, first off, my design, but also the way in which I was brought up of like,
right,
that could have gone badly, right?
right.
If I got suspended and then unsupportive parents, like everything, I mean, everything was fine, went to college, right? Feel like I'm living a wonderful life, but that level of love and support,
Mm-hmm,
that unconditional love
yeah.
just is.
Mm,
And
mm,
to bring that forth, I feel like that's a massive part of like my soul's journey and the
mm.
message I'm here to share, that unconditional love.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, and it's such a almost love letter to your parents too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels
Oh,
really
absolutely.
sweet. Yeah,
Yeah. They
yeah.
just, because life happens,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Like we'll do
absolutely.
things and things happen, but like to be met with that kind of love
Hmm.
and support. But I think that also goes back to like growing up in South Africa, a very different, unique experience because so for you, what would you say is the driving force behind all of it? Like, is it for you, is there like, is it universe? Is it spirit? Is it God? Like what for you?
I mean, I think there's a lot of how you've spoken about it that I resonate with.
Mhm,
That for many years of my life, gosh, where to start? I've recently embraced my tutu self. There was a trauma that happened where I was wearing a tutu and it changed, no, that's not safe. And so
mhm,
in my 40s and now at 50, I was like, but, so it's like I've felt a rainbows and sunshine inner place in me. And my mom would tell me stories of, however old you are, where you're holding the hand of your parent and you walk into a room, and I would say, I want to hello him. And so it was like I just wanted to run up and jump and just zhuzh love and sparkles and magic with another person because I sensed that feeling you used maybe you said this but maybe in different words is like I feel that soul's brilliance, however brilliance is, like a brilliant light or a brilliant expression, creative, however it is. And I've sensed how I quashed mine, and I've
mhm.
sensed how other people, as being, 49 is my P sun, so I feel very empathic. Like I don't have 19, and so I feel like I'm revolutionizing self-care. Yeah,
You and
we've got an
me, you and me.
electromagnetic. Yeah.
Because I don't have 49. Yeah.
So it's this, and it's 49.3. So which revolution I'm trial and erroring as a
Mhm.
3/5. So to get to your answer, it's like I've known that I'm gonna swear we have one fucking life, and it's this one. Like we might do it again, and we've done it before, and our
Yeah.
soul has been in those iterations of a body or
Yeah.
that context of that life. But this life, this is the only one. And the people that were around, it's unique. And they may have visited us in soul contract in other lives. They might be our soul family. What I'm getting at is that permission slip that like, come on, let's go. Like let's dig our teeth and whatever that is. If that means sitting on a mountain and you're blissing out with your experience solo, fuck yeah. Whatever the thing is, how are you loving and embracing and firing it out for it to be fully expressed with you first, and then bringing that with other people if they want it. So I I don't know. Like, is it God? Maybe. I talk to unicorns indirectly, like fairies, like all of that mystical, but I don't know what box to put it in. And I don't want to do this because it's fucking epic. It's like, um,
Yes, yes, that's amazing.
like I
And
was on
that's a
a hike
perfect
this
answer.
morning and there was a Burmese mountain dog, and the dog was talking to me like, tell my person that I'm here to help them spiritually love themselves. And I was like on the hike going like, do I go back and say that to the person? Do I don't know. Like she seems pretty
Yeah.
happy with this animal and maybe that's fine, but so sometimes like and I downloaded to a friend of mine. She was like, I'm gonna go to the beach, and I was like, and you're gonna visit the tree and the tree wants you to know. So sometimes I get information.
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know where it comes from. I'm thrilled that it's coming with me and wants to be shared out when it does. So that's kind of at the heart of how, to the best I can articulate at this moment.
And that's beautiful. And I feel like I'm not so far off. Because the way I grew up, so growing up in South Africa, there's a lot of like tribal ancestry, and we have what is called a sangoma, which
Okay.
is like the medicine woman. And so
Hmm.
there's that belief, the like ancestral healing, working with your ancestors,
Yep.
working with spirit. My mom, for her, it was God,
Uh-huh.
very distinctly when she connects, for her, it's God. Not the punishing God, like God loves you as his child kind of God. My dad is very scientific.
Mm.
He is very engineer, mathematical. For him, it's universe.
Mm.
He's like the science of the,
Sure.
um, my aunt was the tarot reader, the
Mm.
psychic at Monte Casino in South Africa, which is kind of like our Vegas.
Oh.
So she lived in spirit world, like one
Uh-huh.
foot in that door, one foot. So for me, it's
Uh-huh.
it's everything, right?
Uh-huh.
Where all of this comes from, and connecting in with that piece behind,
Hmm.
and then seeing the expression of your design, the expression of who you are,
Yeah.
and the way you're operating in the world here and now.
Hmm. I love it.
Yeah, it's
What a
just so.
rich experience to have that eclecticism of
Yeah.
people. Because as you were talking about South Africa, it's not exactly this, but I studied for a while with Sobonfu Some. She's from West Africa, the
Mhm.
Diagra tradition. Because anyway, not to make this so much about me, but I was really curious about death and dying because that was kind of like my springboard of like, this is once here, this version of it is once. And I thought that was the like my podcast then was Dare to Listen, but it felt a little like finger waggy, and I was like, not really finger waggy. I mean, I guess I am. I can be a little, maybe it's my fifth line. I don't know, my 1858. I'm like, I gotta correct shit. Y'all are fucking it up. Like, but
Yes.
I didn't like that feeling of it. I didn't
Mm,
like that tone of it. And
yeah.
what a gift to learn directly from Subonfu. Like when I met her, I was like, she is not in the body for long. And she guided us through. She felt that the her lineage was saying more people need to know how to have grief rituals. And so I
Mm,
did grief rituals with her. Anyway, it's a beautiful, she's got books. Her husband, I think, might be continuing it. You know, they weren't. Anyway, a lot of information about Savanfu, and I think she's still kind of, hey, Knobs, what you doing down there? In her way. And it's so there's so many ways to access, I think. Like I used to get this image of being in anyway, it doesn't matter where, but there was this image of like the clouds and like there's hands that are reaching down from
mm,
the beyond, and
mm,
it doesn't matter which hand you grab, just grab a hand.
Yeah.
And if that hand resonates with you, kind of like maybe for your aunt, it was the tarot, for your dad, it was the science, and for your mom,
Yes.
etc. It doesn't matter. Grab. There's more to this if
Yes.
we want to
Yes.
go there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The way, because it all comes back to sparkle and shine for me. The way I like to think of it is there's that white light that goes through
Mm.
the prism that makes the whole rainbow of colors.
Mm.
And it all comes back to that one, that piece where it's all one. So, yeah,
Right.
no matter exactly what it looks like. And even if it looks different, that's okay. It's
Hmm.
still perfect for like what variation you're experiencing. So, yeah, I
Totally.
love that. That's so interesting though. I should have looked at your chart. I love that. So you like bridge that because I'm a triple split.
I wanted to
So
ask that too, but I was like, man, we're
I,
spending a lot of time on charts. Maybe we need to move to topics. But yeah,
oh, no,
like what is
triple.
it to be a triple split? Like I'm a split and I'm like, that's a lot. And a triple split, I'm like, maybe you love it.
Well, I have three distinct personalities. No, I'm kidding.
Great. Great.
Um, I love being in the public aura.
Hmm.
I love, and so this felt weird for me at first because again, this permission, where
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, I'm going into my cave
Hmm.
and I don't want to interact right now. And I'm kind of taking, my time to process and review everything. And that's where I find my grounding is in closing and opening and taking that time to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, but I don't necessarily want to go out and be social. And
Hmm.
learning about my triple split was probably like a strategy authority. Yes, it's important. But for me personally, this was
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest things where I could learn. I didn't have to talk to anybody. Sitting in airports is one of my favorite. I love to travel. I love to travel because I just love to travel and I really do enjoy talking to people
Hmm.
and learning about new cultures and the way people experience things so differently.
Hmm.
Um, but the airport is a special kind of wonderful for me. And like bonus points, like if I get to talk to someone sometimes, start up a conversation, but sometimes like not just to be there and have everything flow. And there's so many times I take a journal with me or I have
Yes.
to write because everything flows.
Yep.
Like everything connects. And I notice sometimes when I get frustrated, I'm like,
Mm.
I need part of it, the sacral, like move. I got to move my body, shake the glitter globe, like move the body, but like also to go out and have that. So I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, it feels complete.
Yeah.
I feel how it, yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And it's almost like as you were speaking about journaling, like you could almost move to different sections of the airport, right? Because how you're getting linked up is a little bit different in this auras collective and then
Yeah.
that group of auras.
So I'm the person who sits like in the cafe in the airport, but like right by where everybody walks by. And I'm
Right.
like, it's almost like a buffet of like sampling all the energy,
Yeah.
which is just, it's so wonderful. And then, you get that glimpse and that feeling of that person as they walk by and their experience and,
Yeah.
what they're going through, where they're going, what they're feeling, which is also so, so cool.
I
So I
love it.
love that. Yeah, with the triple split, just having that connection piece. But on the flip side of that, like now that I understand how to work with it, it's amazing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's almost like skincare. It's like you got dry skin,
Mm.
cool, use extra
Nice.
moisturizer. You have more oily skin, cool, use it. Like it's not like it's just understanding what to do to nourish yourself. And so like understanding sometimes I need to connect in and go, hold on, I need to go
Yep.
and connect with people. And then I also have specific people that I meet up with that
Hmm.
just bridge a lot for me. And
Yeah.
our conversations, I've got a really great group of friends down here, which I'm super lucky for. But on the other side of that, it's a unique experience where I can have the same situation and I feel like I can be on this side and fully relate and connect with someone here, and then
Mm.
go to the complete opposite side of the
Mm.
same thing and
Mm.
go, oh yeah, I see this. and I can connect in with you here and what you're experiencing.
Mm.
And so I struggled with that a little bit before because I was like, do I not
Who
have
am
an
I?
opinion?
Yeah.
Like, am I just trying to like people please and go like, yeah, 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 I hear you, but it's actually I can fully connect in with you here,
Mm.
and I can fully connect in with you here and just really see it from all angles differently. So that's kind of cool.
I love that you're pointing that to the triple split because there's also
Yeah.
a way that I'm hearing potentially the undefined solar plexus. And I'm also curious, like, there's a way as I'm hearing it, I'm like, well, I resonate with that with an undefined G, but your G
Yeah.
is really solid. You've
Yeah.
got two life force channels. Anyway,
Yeah.
we could
Which
talk
is
about your design
I know,
forever.
which I know. Oh, I love it. I just and having these conversations and having the verbiage to say the things because so often I'm like, I feel this is how I feel. And then like putting it into words is really painful. Right?
Yeah. Well, you have
It's like,
nothing between your ajna and your head. No, your
yeah,
your throat and
like
your
my
ajna.
throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's like I can experience it, but sometimes exactly that split again. And so to be able to like articulate it and go like, here's kind of your thing of
Yeah.
how to communicate these things and how to reflect. And I'm like,
Right.
this is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we might be having a jam on my 4323 highway. So
Yes.
that could be
Yes.
what's
Right.
what's here and whoever else you're hanging with, in those moments. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if
Yeah.
you're okay with it, can we transition to your sixth talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's go there.
You
Absolutely.
you have a lot, friend.
Yeah. Which is so funny because the first time I saw any kind of six and I learned about six, I was like, no, no, I don't want to tell people. I don't want to be a role model. I don't want to tell
Mm,
people how to live. And I rejected it and I had to really look at and go, but what is a role model?
mm,
What is the thing behind this? Where
hmm.
some people I feel like, oh yeah, role model. I was like, no, that's a lot of pressure.
Totally. Well, and
Yeah.
and what I love about sixes is it's almost like, well, not almost. I how I speak about six lines as role models is there is no doing, it's all being,
Yeah,
you know. But I
exactly.
do think the
Yeah.
term role model can be a little
No,
yeah.
when you first see exactly, and that permission, it's like, oh, I get to just like live my life the way I want to live it and go, I love living my life authentic to me, what makes me happy,
Yeah.
and that can help somebody else
Yeah.
go, oh, I get to choose what makes me happy. That feels amazing, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, it's even as legit as how you handle a fart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honest to God, it's
Oh,
like that minutia, or because it's yeah. Anyway, that's my belief that it's
yeah.
it's that the big stuff and the day to day
Mhm.
you yeah.
And the challenges too. The
Hmm.
challenges as
All of
well.
it.
Being authentic to all parts of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I feel like you've spoken about Human Design 101 and the Inner Authority workshop, but I'm wondering if you want to feel like you've said what you want to say about that for those who might be curious to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Human Design 101 is going over the basics of the chart, but it's not just the basics. It's not just, there's a difference between like reading something,
Mm,
actually understanding it, and then applying it.
mm,
Like, how am I taking these things and working with them, right?
hmm.
And understanding, you know, where it comes from and the importance of it, that it's not just like an abstract piece of information of like, here's this thing and it's this.
Hmm.
Um, you are a this, therefore you're that, which
Right.
boxing to me, it's like, well, how does this feel for you?
Hmm.
How does this show up for you? Understanding more the mechanics behind it
Hmm.
as like an invitation to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'll say full disclosure, I'm really ready to geek out with embodying your incarnation cross.
Yes.
Incarnation cross, for whatever reason, I'm on a slow road. That
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
just
on the
integrating
perfect
all the
road.
charts or all of the versions of it. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
probably the theme I have the most books on. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So embodying, yeah, that's the thing. Your incarnation cross, embodying it. And
Hmm.
funny enough, I'm noticing a trend here. When you said incarnation cross, when I first looked up my incarnation cross, completely rejected it.
Ah, can you remind me
It,
what it is?
yeah, so I'm the right angle cross of four ways.
Four ways.
But
Yep.
I'm 19. So as my main, it's feeling the needs. And the first time I read about it was that I'm here to feed the hungry.
Mm,
And I was like, that doesn't feel good. And my whole life, I feel like I'm very connected in with my sacral response just because since always I've been allowed to feel that, to do that thing, been supported through that. And I was like, that doesn't feel great.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And um, funny story, I did when I lived in DC area. There's quite a few people who are displaced from their homes. And so I did start a thing called one bar at a time.
mm,
And I took granola bars and then I got all my friends to get granola bars. And whenever we went out, like in DC or we are in like Northern Virginia, Arlington area, we would take granola bars and give it if we saw people, or like if we're driving around to give people granola bars. And so like helping feed just to do something that was very like passive, like we were going these places and doing these things already,
mm,
but like to help someone
mm-hmm,
and to just like see that person and like look them in the eye and give them something, but give them love with it felt
mm-hmm,
really good. And I was like, is that my purpose in life? Is
mm-hmm.
that me?
Well, I'm
And
also tracking your 5027, which I've heard it referred to as the Mother Teresa channel.
yes, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so that felt like a part of me, but then I started to dive deeper into understanding my incarnation cross, where it was coming from, and diving into like, what is 19? Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
foundational needs, right? And this can be food. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This really can be food. Like you need
Yep.
food and shelter before you can start to go up, the whole hierarchy of like where you're going. But I was like, what is the thing? And it's funny you bring in Mother Teresa. I was like, what is the thing people need? What do I
Uh-huh.
feel if I could hand every
Yeah,
person on this earth a gift of something, it would be love.
totally.
It's love. It's love, like to bring love into people's lives so that they can love themselves
Mm-hmm.
so deeply. Permission to be them and love themselves less. Yeah, I messed up. Okay, I did this thing, and that's okay. I can still love myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's not love. Maybe I don't like myself right now, but I love. So that's why I say to my kids, they frustrate me, and I'm like, I'm very upset with you right now, but I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
Love doesn't go away. Love,
Right.
you get to love yourself always and feel that love. And you get to feel that love for others
Mm.
as well. Um, and then also getting to a place, I'm trying to think how I want to explain this, of where things go badly with someone, and you can say, this is the crossroads where this needs to
Ah.
be removed, but I can still love you.
Uh-huh.
And so I had experience in my life where I had to dive very deeply into who am I? Regardless of what's happening outside of me and with this person in my life, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm a person who brings love and kindness. What does this person do to move forward in this situation? And how do I continue to be this person regardless of what is happening here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to help people find that in themselves, like knowing so deeply, this is me. This
Yeah.
is me. And that's that G, right? That direction and that love, but the deep underpinning of it, of just loving yourself through it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. Like, yes, it gets hard. Like, yes, there's things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
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 So your incarnation cross, there's just so many pieces. And then working with the sun energy, because that's 70%, right? Of you.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but do you really live out? How do you live it out? How do you bring this into your life, right? And how do you ground it?
Mm-hmm.
what's happening like subconsciously for you. So this one, I'm honestly so excited about all of these.
Yeah.
Um, this one specifically, because this is like, your life, the path that, that,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much about it because I will, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get the sense of it for sure. And I'm curious because I'm also hearing the perfection of you potentially.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
feels like there's some crossover themes, maybe
Yeah.
as well as activating and alchemizing.
So the perfection of you is we're going to talk about pickles. We're going to talk about just landing human design in a way of understanding it in everyday terms, but diving into it and going, oh, my intention for the perfection of you is that you walk away going, huh, I'm really like amazing. And there's a lot of perfection. Like I am perfect.
Hmm.
There's empowered and disempowered decisions I can make, but who I am to stop beating yourself up
Hmm.
and to feel so loved. And
Hmm.
I think that comes with all of the things that I speak to, but like it's just, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
just to feel in a different way, understand in a different way, because I feel like human design speaks to it. But there's a lot of things in human design where potentially you feel like I'm missing.
Hmm.
My
Right.
open solar plexus. I feel like I'm missing, right? But
Right.
it's not that you're missing nothing. There's
Right.
nothing missing from you. You, as this unique human, this unique design, this
Hmm.
unique experience, are perfect. But
Hmm.
here's why you may feel that it's missing.
Yeah.
Here's why you may feel the pull of, especially with, those hanging gates and
Hmm.
some pivotal pieces. If I only had da 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 da,
Right.
then I'd be happy. No, you're here to experience it this way,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You have everything
Yeah.
within you to live your perfect life.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So that's the perfection of you. Activating and alchemizing is I'm going to play with this some more eventually and find the right terminology. At first, it was empowering and emptying, but emptying felt terrible.
I use
So,
emptying in my coaching work
do
100% and in my
you?
personal life
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Do you? Maybe
Yeah.
that's just something within me that right now, because it's not that it's empty. I didn't want to come across that it's empty.
It's
Because it's
cleaning the
never,
pipes. It's kind of
it's
that
cleaning.
that constipation thing again.
It's the constipation. It's that sponge you're squeezing out, right?
Yes.
And you're coming to this place where you're feeling and you get to experience you. Um, it's just, I listened to a beautiful podcast from a reflector, and she was talking about how she does retreats
Uh-huh.
and how she gets to a place where it's just the reflectors. And she
Yep.
did this by herself. And she said it was quite startling feeling,
Yep.
releasing. She felt like she was losing herself, but it's not losing yourself. It's coming back to yourself and getting to a place where you can feel that openness in you and know what that feels like. So when you feel somebody else is something else, you
Yep.
can go, that's them, this is me,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But that
Yep.
process. So activating and alchemizing is empowering, the centers that we have defined, stepping into, this is the piece we come to bring, right?
Hmm.
Empowering this. How do we, because we have that consistent access to it. But then alchemizing, emptying, looking at our open centers and
Hmm.
see where we're carrying, and we're doing, it's almost like a meditation going through, and we're journaling. So we're going to journal, we're going to then go through, and depending if you're defined or undefined, you're going to go a different path with these. And almost it's like I don't want to say a reset, but like a just coming back to a more natural state of like who you are.
It's
That
almost that
base.
shaking again.
Yeah, yeah, but like, yeah, exactly. Like shaking alive, like getting the glitter shaking in those defined centers, but also like opening the undefined and seeing, what you're carrying over and what that looks like for you. And especially it always, in my experience, the solar plexus and that safety. And one of the things we say with the solar plexus is, it's safe to feel my emotions, the wisdom that I'm learning, what I'm learning from this, and coming to that place to be able to start to move the energy in there.
Yeah.
Then the human design new year is, I am so excited about this one because this is about closing loops. And this is where
Mm.
we start to really make changes in our lives where, we're doing, for me, it's an infinity. We're doing this loop. And then we get times where we can go and take the off ramp and on ramp onto the next level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so working with the energy of the human design new year
Yep.
to close out.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
there's a workbook with it. We're going to look at closing out. We're going to start to review. We're going to go looking at these and then working with the energies. So doing it now, but also coming back to it at the dates, working with the energies that are activated. And
Mm-hmm.
also just learning that like our new year right now is not made for closing, right? It's not, the energy right there is not about closing. It's about, looking and reviewing. So it's not the way we do it right now. So looking through that and then also looking like, do you have this defined and where do you have it defined? What is that saying to you in your chart? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the human design year. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been curious about working with the new year. Like
Yeah.
people will talk about pulling their chart for the new
Mhm.
year. You can get on the programs, you can get that. And anyway, so yeah, that's super curious. Awesome. Well, a lot. Like part of me is
Yeah.
like, darling, that's a lot of energy out. And
I
go for it. Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess you've spoken a little bit about it, and I'm wondering kind of as we're bringing this conversation to a conclusion,
Mhm.
um, like how you would frame or what you would want people to know about how they can work with you. Because your business is called Core Calling, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how they can work with me. I think it really depends what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And so a good place to start might be the introductory, just like a chat with me
Mm-hmm.
and feeling out, like where you are, what you're potentially looking for. There's human design readings if you're looking directly for a reading. There's working through the activating and alchemizing, but like on a deeper level where we're working on like one specifically for a whole month and
Uh-huh.
like redoing all, like going through and rewiring everything for that month specifically. And
Uh-huh.
we move through from the root up. So there's, if that's something that interests you and you want to like dive deeper in that, it really depends like where you're trying to go. I also do, I don't promote my positive intelligence on there because that's something for that program. You have to be very dedicated because it's daily
Mm-hmm.
actions you have to take for rewiring. It's actually
Yep.
remap the neural pathways, which is so cool to watch how they do the scan. They
Uh,
show like the gray matter in your, it's just amazing. So for that one, I don't promote that, but if that's something that interests you, there is a free quiz online where you can find out like what your base saboteurs are, which is
mm,
just a helpful start to see like what are the patterns in me right now. I do cards, teaching people how to intuitively like read, so not tarot cards, but oracle cards,
mm,
and how to start because we live in a material world. And what I found is sometimes people need like a physical something
mm-hmm.
to start to trust. It's very hard to just sit and go, oh, I got this message for you and send
Yeah.
it to you.
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm like, this message makes no sense.
Uh-huh.
We can sometimes, discount it or whatever that thing is. So starting with something that's physical and doing the cards. And so you can start to, you start to read the book, but then starting to lean into like, what are you feeling in this? Like, what are you hearing? And everybody experiences it differently, but using that as a means to work towards like trusting your intuition, trusting, that
Hmm.
side of you. Yeah.
Wow. A whole buffet. A
A
whole
whole
buffet.
buffet. And then, yeah, then on the dream side, we have dream design intensives, which are really cool.
Hmm.
This is bringing human design and like your soul calling together. So,
Uh-huh.
what we do is we do a dive into like, what is it your soul is calling for right now
Hmm.
in your life? And then we look at your human design. So, that's like the what of your soul. And then the how is your human design, how to bring this in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All the things,
All the
right?
things. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll meet in person in a few
Yes.
weeks. Yeah,
Yes, get ready for a hug.
I'm ready. Yeah, yeah, I love
Yes,
it. Yeah,
yes.
so have you visited New Mexico before?
I have not. And I'm
Hmm.
slightly nervous because again, I'm caves. So my
Ah,
dad's always mountains, and I'm like, okay.
yeah, the altitude for
Right.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
shouldn't
and
say
I've
scared. Scared's not the right word,
say
but I was
again.
like, oh, interesting. I said I shouldn't say scared.
Oh, yeah.
Scared's not the right word, but I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is mountains, right?
Yeah. Well, and I've
Yeah.
heard somebody say that Santa Fe's building structures feel very cave-like. So
Oh,
that'll be
perfect.
interesting for you to,
Yeah.
sense in yourself. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I
thank
love
you
it.
so much. This has been such a vivacious and sparkly and yeah, it's been such a good conversation. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we'll see you super soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.